pleasure for us to have an opportunity to visit with our new alumni, Kristen McCollum, who graduated in May of '08 from Central High School. She is a freshman, just finished her first semester at Southwestern University in Georgetown, Texas, which is a very, very high academic university on I-35 north of Austin. And most students who go, of my former students who have gone to Southwestern, have been very, very bright, probably ended up on the graduate school path. And it's such a pleasure to have this opportunity on your visit home between semesters, Kristen. But we have you here for a very special reason, not just because you were an outstanding student in San Angelo ISD, but we got word earlier in the fall that you were awarded or designated an AP Distinguished Scholar. And I had to do some research because I haven't had very many over the course of my career young people attain this designation. And what my research showed is that there are 3 levels of honors for those who take advanced placement tests. And you achieved the highest of 3, and that is the AP Scholar of Distinction. And we had 8 students last year who achieved that, but you tied for the top 3 that got the highest, got this award. And what an award that is. And it's not just for you, by the way. We like to think that we share a little bit. It makes us so proud that one of our central young people got this award. And you had an average, on 7 AP tests, your junior and senior year, it's cumulative, not just those you took your senior year. You can score and pass an AP exam with a 3 or 4 or a 5, and your average for 7 tests is a 4.43. And perfect score is a 5. And so you got several 5s, or you wouldn't have an average of 4.43. Wow, wow, wow. And so what a great tribute to you and your work ethic. And you also, Kristen, were, just to remind our audience, you were a graduated salutatorian, and you were National Merit. So, wow again, and thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So now I want to talk just a minute to let our audience catch up with you, and then we'll go talk a little bit more about why taking AP exams is so important. But let's backtrack just a little bit. You have gone through, as your older brothers have, Central High School and other schools here in SAISD. Would you track your educational experience?
I went to elementary school at Santa Rita.
Okay.
Best school in town. I just have to throw that pitch out there. And then I went to junior high at Lee, and then high school at Central.
Okay. And what about the composite of your upbringing, counting your school and the opportunities from your home or community, extended family, also contributed to getting you ready to make these high achievements?
Well, my family has always been very college-minded, I would say, and my oldest brother is 9.5 years older than I was, so he was out of the house by the time I was in 4th grade. So I've always had this kind of, looming college is coming soon kind of idea in the household. So I guess really, I'm sure all of the seniors this year have experienced this. It seems as if junior high, well, when I was in junior high, 9th grade, was at Lee. But 9th through 12th grade is really just you building up your resume for the purpose of, getting to whatever school you wanted. So I think seeing my brothers going to college and seeing how that was really a great experience for them and very important to my parents. It's always kept me motivated, and I don't just rack up these awards just for pleasure. It's I work for them so that I have a purpose for them, so that I can go where I want to go to school, or achieve things while I'm there.
So you're goal-oriented.
I would say so.
Well, I don't know of many young people who accomplish what you've accomplished that haven't had those discussions with someone who's been their cheerleader about you've got to start early. You can't, in May of your senior year, all of a sudden decide I want to go to a top college
Right.
and get into a top college in May
Mm-hmm.
of your senior year.
Mm-hmm.
What about other things, maybe academic or maybe extracurricular? I happen to know, our audience may not know, that you are a very gifted musician as well. So what other pieces went together to make you become such a high achiever?
Well, that's very important. Music took up at least an hour a day, and then I would have lessons, and just keeping busy. Really, I was in basketball in high school also, except for my senior year, and I feel that putting, not to stress yourself out, but putting a good amount on your plate keeps you busy, but it also keeps something in the back of your head that says, I have a lot of work that I have to do tonight, and that it comes first. So you end up, I know a lot of athletes in college who are like, I make better grades during the season than I do outside of the season, because when you're keeping yourself busy, you always have that idea of, I need to get this work done first, and this is my priority, and you get everything studied for and checked off your list. So just being involved in anything that takes up your time that you enjoy doing will remind you of the work that you have, and you'll end up doing it better, I would say.
Are there adults besides family or programs, say at Central or in our community, that you felt like had an impact on you as far as your goals or just developing the character that you have developed?
I mean, I could name off plenty of people who were my teachers all throughout school. I don't know, am I allowed to do that?
You can, you bet.
Okay. Well, I guess really what started, I believe Elaine Stribling is the principal at Lee now.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went to Santa Rita, she was a principal there, and she had a program that jump-started your math education. So it was kind of like a pre-AP at Santa Rita. And that just kind of jump-start the whole pre-AP/AP career from then on. So I really appreciated that. And at Lee, I would say everybody's favorite teacher, everybody I've talked to says their favorite teacher is Mrs. Kane. And I'm assuming she's still there.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
We're just refusing to ever let her leave.
Good. Good call. And then, by the time I got to high school is when you actually start hitting those teachers who do AP, not just pre-AP, but actually prepare you for college. I still go back and visit my AP teachers from that year. So Miss Phillips and Miss Thornton are both doing well. And Miss Phillips is actually the AP coordinator.
Yes, she certainly is. That's where I got a good bit of my information about this.
Yes.
You mentioned that Ms. Stribling had a program at Santa Rita and you said math, and I also know that right now your major is math.
That's true.
And we all know that majors can change, but there are young people in our community who watch these interviews. I had a young man when I was doing walkthroughs at one of the elementaries who was either a 4th or 5th grader who told me that he watches these programs, and I said, does your mama make you? And he said, no ma'am, I watch them. So they are listening to someone like you, Kristen, who's very successful, and hearing, I've got to pay attention and set goals, and so that's why these questions are so important.
Definitely.
What part has music played in your life? You're a very gifted pianist. What do you think that has done for you while you were up to you graduated, and now is it playing any part in your life now that you're a very busy college student?
Well, up till the point I graduated, it's acted as many things. As a stress reliever, always to play music. But it's also, something you can fall back on. It kind of, if you maybe don't feel like you've been doing well enough in school, or, something's not going right, it's definitely a part of your identity. So like, oh yeah, I'm also a musician. This is a good part of me, and it's, multifaceted. And then of course, it builds values like dedication and things like that. But getting to school, it's done the same thing. It's definitely been a stress reliever. At Southwestern, we have a piano in the atrium of our dorm, so I like to play that a lot. And
Good.
And I'm around a bunch of people who also play piano, so it's fun to interact with them in that way and have that connection. And then this next semester, I'll be taking piano from the school, from the head of the music department, actually. And so that'll be challenging, and I'll also have some sort of a release from other classes that are more academic.
Well, I know for my life, piano is definitely a therapy, and I think my husband can tell by how I'm playing how much I need that therapy. And now you taking some classes, even though you don't intend at this point to major in music, it sets an objective that I have to practice, instead of it just being a dorm atrium therapy. And that, way to go, way to go. What are you doing at Southwestern besides going to class?
Okay, so my extracurricular activities would be, I'm in an organization, it's not Greek, but it's very similar to a sorority called Sigma Phi Lambda. We also have one at ASU, I've heard, which is it's a Christian group of girls. We do a lot of mission work and community work, and it's just a good community to be a part of. So I'm in that, and I'm in a program called Operation Achievement. So for 2 hours out of the week, they bring in kids from a local middle school, and you have a mentee, so a kid that you help with homework and build a relationship with, and just kind of learn how they're doing in school. And they have enrichment games and things like that. So just,
and that's every week?
Every week. Mm-hmm.
Way to go!
And then one more thing, I also tutor at the high school. I'm a math major, and they sent out this math email. Begging for a math tutor, and I was like, I happen to really love math, so I went to the high school, and it's the migrant student organization, so kids that are really having trouble in those areas, in the science and math areas, and help out there once a week.
Way to go. Well, you will finish your freshman year this year. Do you have a clue what you're going to do this next summer?
I do. Hopefully I will be working all summer at the youth camp that I work at. So this will be the first year that I'll be there all summer, but I'll be working with kids and having a great time.
Good for you. What an unusual piece of information about you, Kristen. So many of the brightest students in my past know they have goals, as you have had goals, and they just go to college and stick their nose in a book because they know they have dreams and aspirations after college. And yet you are not just doing one community service giving back activity, but multiple consistently every week. And not only is that good to have a balance, that you're not in a book all day and all night and all weekend, but that you're giving back and not just looking at yourself and what your personal needs are. Your AP classes, now let's go back just a titch. Why should a person, this fourth grader at one of our elementaries who watches these, why should a fourth grader plan on taking as much AP and having those kind of experiences as possible. What's the difference in an AP class and a regular class?
Well, I mean, I guess, you know, the shallow reasons are that AP classes are much more like college. So I feel that for too many people, it's a culture shock once you get to college, and it's also, you know, when you're balancing that and shocked with all the work that you've, you know, been loaded on in college, it's too hard to make the transition if you haven't had some challenging courses already. So that, and also AP tests, you know, if you keep doing pre-AP and continue to AP and you do well on the tests, you get hours. And that's so important because college is really expensive, and if you get enough hours, you can graduate early, or, you know, maybe that's not a problem with you if you just get enough hours to get your basics out of the way and want to take some really interesting courses to get your money's worth, you know, and get to college and be enjoying what you're learning. So I would say those are the two shallow reasons. And also, it's just good to have that kind of background, just to know that you worked at something. It's a good sense of accomplishment, and it's also good to have teachers who will write you really good recommendations, you know, who have that on their resume also, I guess.
So if you're taking an AP English class as a junior, what would be, in your opinion, the difference in what a person would face in that class as opposed to a regular 11th grade English class? Give me an example that you think.
Junior year, man, English is tough. So you'll be reading a lot more, definitely be reading a lot more. And you'll be analyzing a lot more. There's just a lot of higher level thinking skills that you'll be practicing during junior level English than you would in regular classes.
So it's not just more of the same. Instead of doing one activity that you do 2 or 3, it's going deeper, more than just more. Is that right?
Definitely.
Okay.
The analyzation skills are there, and it's also very discussion based, and which is, I found at a liberal arts college, my junior year classes are very much the way that they are at my school. It's a lot of reading, but it's also a lot of discussion and a lot of deeper level thinking. It's not
lecture.
so much lecture. Right.
Do you have advice for young people or their parents that are watching as far as strategies about taking AP, not just about taking the test, but about how to get the awards distinguished? What are the 2 levels below distinguished on?
There's AP Scholar, just AP Scholar, and then there's AP Scholar with honors. And
which you got your junior year.
Right, correct.
Okay. And then you got the highest level your senior year, which is the distinguished. Now, you were telling me that as a part of a strategy, you knew that they averaged the scores that you made on your test. And we know that you had 7 with high scores. But you also mentioned that you felt when you went in to take one of your tests that you might not be doing as good. And if you had not done well, that would have hurt your chances to getting this honor of distinguished. Talk to me about that.
Well, as a student, it's a good idea to try to go for these awards because they look great to colleges, and they're not just, you know, SAISD awards. It's a nationally recognized thing. So going into my senior year of AP tests, after I'd already made the Scholar with Honors, I recognized that this was a good thing. And so I went in trying to pass more and get better grades so that I could get to the next level and have that award. But there was one in particular, like you said, where I sat down and I one test, and I didn't feel prepared for it, and it just wasn't my best subject, and I just wasn't comfortable with the way I did. So after I finished the test, I wrote a letter to College Board, and they have all the instructions online. And I said, you know, please cancel this score. And in doing that, they didn't grade it, first of all, so there's no record of me making whatever, you know, low score that I would have made. But also they didn't average anything that would hurt the average for the award. So, you know, for example, for the AP Scholar with distinction, you have to have 5 tests that you pass with an average of 3.5 or higher. But if someone passed 5 tests with all 5s, but had another 5 tests where they made all 1s, you wouldn't get that award. So it's important to, if you don't think you did well enough on a test, you can cancel it, and it's not going to hurt you at all. And it'll keep that test higher, and there will be no record of you taking the test.
Well, in all my years, I didn't know that, Kristen.
There's definitely a strategy.
If that only helps one young person, it's worth that piece of advice of you sharing that information. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We want to hear more from you when you come back. I hope that we can call upon you when you're back in town. Definitely. We are so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.